And you have made it to the last module. Wow, congratulations! Now that you know everything about creating a reel from A to Z, really, it is time that we look at all the things that are important once you have posted it. For this chapter, we will talk about your reel statistics. Of course, you should always keep an eye on all of your numbers, but since we are here to learn about reels, we will focus on these insights in particular.
Okay, let's start with the basics. What are Reels Insights exactly? Reels Insights are a dedicated section of Instagram that shows you the metrics related to your Reels. Before they were rolled out, you were only really able to see your view count, comments, and likes by tapping on your content.
Having access to Instagram Insights for Reels is super valuable because it means that you can now start to understand a little bit more about how your content is performing. Understanding your insights will allow you to know what exactly your viewers enjoy and what you should create more of so that you can grow your page.
In order to see your insights, you need to have a creator or business account. If you still have a personal account, you can easily change that in your settings. In the bonus material, you will find a step-by-step guide on how to do that. Now, once you have changed your account to a professional one, there are a few different ways for you to access your Instagram Reels Insights.
If you want to know how an individual reel performed, go into your reel section on your profile, select the reel you want to analyze, tap the three dots icon and select View Insights. Here you will see the metrics for that particular post. However, you won't have an overview on your performance of all of your reels, which is why we access our insight in another way now.
We usually go to our account and click the Insights bottom. We scroll a bit down until we see Reels, and there we tap on the little arrow pointing to the right. Here you will see all of your Reels performance metrics together in one place. You can view them based on different categories. Just click on the first box up here and you will be able to choose if you want them organized based on comments, likes, saves, reach, views or interactions, which is the sum of your likes, save and comments. The box right next to this section is for the time period that you want to analyze. You can look at your reels from the last 7 days, from the last 30 days, or 3 months, or 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. This way you will be able to see your best performing content.
Now you can also click into every single reel to see even more statistics. So let's look at an example here. On the top you will have an overview of all your numbers, so plays, likes, comments, shares and saves. Now if you don't see your shares, don't worry, your statistics aren't broken, but unfortunately due to the privacy regulations in some countries, you cannot see them and you can't see how many people have shared your reel. Below that you will see the statistics of your reel, which are the plays on Instagram and Facebook combined, as well as the total number of likes and reactions from both platforms together.
Now if we scroll a bit further, we will see the statistics especially for Instagram. The first big number is the amount of accounts that you have reached, so how many unique Instagram users saw your reel at least once. If it's way higher than your usual content, it shows that you are doing something right and that you might have gone viral. If it is much lower than normal, it could be a sign that you have posted at the wrong time or perhaps even used a banned hashtag, or maybe it was just an Instagram glitch which has caused your content to be hidden by Instagram.
Next you have the plays metrics, which is the number of times your reel has been played. It could be higher than the number of accounts reached, since some users may watch your reel more than once. That's a good sign that they really like your content, so thumbs up. Then you have the number of likes next. I think this metric is pretty self-explanatory.
Then we have the fourth metric are your shares, followed by the amount of times it has been saved. Understanding how many times your video is saved or shared in comparison to other reels you make will tell you whether people want to come back to your videos at a later time and or share them with their friends and family. This is the content that seems to provide a lot of value to people, so keep doing more of that.
And lastly, you have the numbers of comments on your reel. In general, a high number of likes, shares and saves is a sign of positive engagement on your reels. People enjoy your content, they see value in it and they save it and they can relate and want to share with their friends and family. Now, when it comes to the comments, you need to consider the type of feedback you are receiving. Of course, for your statistics, any type of comment is good to have a higher number, and as you know, Instagram rewards high numbers of comments with greater visibility. However, if you are receiving a lot of negative comments on your reels, you should take action on what your audience is saying. To be honest, a lot of times we also had viral reels and it was negative feedback, but we were growing, so don't take it personally. It can also be good.
We have mentioned it in a previous chapter already, but of course there are also some metrics that are worth more than others. So for example, a share and a save is more valuable than a like. Giving a post a like is easy, like you just hit that heart icon, you double tap and you are done. But for someone to save or share or even comment your reel, it really shows you that they found value in your post and that they want to keep it for later or show it even to a friend or a family member.
The last part in your analytics are dedicated to Facebook and they show you how many plays and reactions it has received. Now, before we show you how you can leverage your insights to improve your performance, there's one more way to learn a bit more about your Reels Reach insights.
So if you go back to the Overview Analytics section of your account, and if you click on See More, you go to the Reach section of your Instagram Insights, which is where you can see the number of followers and non-followers you have reached, and how this compares to the reach of your other content types.
By using all of this data that Instagram is giving you, you can build your content strategy and create the types of reels that are popular amongst your audience. And this is really, really important to understand. By checking your insights on a regular basis, you can track, analyze, and collect data to see how well your reels are performing. You can also use this information to better understand your audience and what they are up to on Instagram. Then you use Reels Insights to base your content strategy on this. It is a great tool to help you drive better engagement and increase your Instagram following. And of course, it's also really important for businesses and brands you might be working with in the future.
Alright guys, now that you know where to find your insights and you know what they mean, it's time that you also learn how to make the most of them and how to leverage them to create even better reels in the future. Once you have gathered all this data, you can try and test different variations with your reels to measure the impact on your insights. If you always create the same type of content, it will be really hard for you to find out what works best or what doesn't work that well as well, which is why you should always vary and try out new things.
Maybe you want to try a different length for your reel. Post a few that are only a few short seconds long and others that are a bit longer. See what your audience enjoys more. Then you could also try out different content styles. Remember how we taught you about the 5 different categories that you can create? You have motivational, inspiring, educating, entertainment, and aesthetic reels that you can vary from. So maybe see if one of the categories resonates more with your audience than any of the others. Of course, do not forget in each category you have different types of reels again that you can then also try out and see what your audience likes most. It is also worth paying attention to different details within your reel, like the way you start a video, how you are positioned, who is shown, and the overall composition and the quality, so there's a lot of things to consider.
For example, Marta noticed that reels where she walks in from the side into the middle of the frame don't perform as well as when she's already in the center of the frame. It's crazy that these little details sometimes have such a huge impact, and it can sometimes be hard to identify these differences, but over time you will get the hang of it and find these common factors between your reels, especially when you have created hundreds of them.
Next, you could also play around with different audios. See which music or audio you've used in the top performing reels and try it on new content to see if it's equally popular. Maybe you notice that reels with voiceovers work really well for you, or maybe you should create more original audios. It could also be that the reels with the trending audio perform best. This will be different for everyone, which is why it's so important to try out different things and to compare the performance of each reel.
Lastly, you could also experiment with the day and time that you post your reels. Of course, we always tell you to be consistent and to stick to a routine, but especially at the beginning, you will still have to try different options and see what works best for you and your audience, of course. And then once you have an answer to that question, you can come up with a posting schedule.
Once you monitor how well your reels are performing, you can learn what you're doing well and see where you need to improve. This way you can find missing opportunities and what people like and dislike. You can see which reels are the most successful and which ones are the least successful. And from here you can start to identify patterns and also trends. By checking your reels analytics, you can really start to create opportunities for making new successful reels and improve their performance over time to grow your presence on Instagram. And also, again, when you're working with brands or businesses, you know what's performing for you. To give you a little example here, I'm going to mention one of Raquel and Miguel's reel they've created in Paris, where they did a day to night transition, and it worked really well. So they started recreating this reel in different cities, for instance in New York. Again, the day and night transition, even with the same song, and again it worked. So really try to analyze your content and see what's performing and try to come up with a new idea or film it in a different location to then hopefully get the same amount of reach and engagement.
If you have any more questions about your insights, make sure to ask us in the community group. We know that all these numbers can be a bit overwhelming at the beginning, but with a bit of practice, you will see that it's not that hard. And in the meantime, we are obviously here to help you guys.